Hello, and welcome to the Teaching and Learning course, which is part of the MA program for the various MAs in Digital Humanities here in UCC. When I originally designed this module, my idea was that it would mainly focus on teaching and learning in university. I felt that people who were learning digital humanities needed to be able to construct an online course to deliver teaching online. Concept has shifted slightly as time has gone on. I think one of the key things that is now more a part of the course is a recognition that learning and the sort of learning experiences that people need to be able to create go beyond simply the traditional university 12-week style course. And they go into creating learning experiences in the workplace, creating learning experiences in galleries, in museums. There's all sorts of different places where you create things that essentially involve people learning. The assessment for the course is still that you will create a course, but how we define course is much more broadly defined. And the content basically looks at some of the things about learning and online learning that you need to know, not just to create a traditional online course, but also to create learning activities and experiences in a wide variety of different contexts. So on Blackboard, we have in the content, when it comes up, I will update the course information shortly, but we have the introduction, which I call Old School, New Thing. And the first item there is Ken Robinson's TED Talk, which is billed about being about things like ADHD and things like that in the US, and he talks about that. But he also talks about our old-fashioned, very industrial style of producing people in education, and he has some critical things to say about that, and he says them very well. And obviously with the advantage of having a budget and a skilled animator, he does it in a very compelling way, which is certainly something that you should watch and something that I envy. And after that then, the next thing is a link to the forum for the participant introductions. And there, I ask people to introduce themselves. As you can see, several clicks to get to where you want to go in Blackboard. Introduce yourself briefly. We're kind of getting to know one another, but the more important parts are what you hope to contribute to and gain from this particular course, and what you're most interested in teaching. There's that old saying, you teach best what you most need to learn. So the question is, given the challenge of designing a learning experience, designing a course, what do you want to teach about? And that can, and very certainly could, relate to the general area that you're interested in doing work on for your dissertation eventually. And people have certainly in the past successfully designed courses and then turned them into their entire dissertation subsequently as they expanded that area. And the thing about it is that whatever you do your dissertation on, whatever aspect of digital culture you choose to research and write upon, you need to be able to communicate that knowledge to people. So you need to be able to create some kind of experience where they learn what you've created. So think about what your area of interest in digital humanities is, and see how that would come up with a course or a topic. And the other thing is to think in terms of examples of good and bad teaching that you've gone through yourself, and your reactions to the Ken Robinson video. What does he have to say? How does it change your views on education? There is also, after you've done that, there is a PowerPoint, and there will be a video when I upload it, not from home, on the slow band, which touches on some of the big topics and themes, the key buzzwords. learning outcomes, transformational learning, threshold concepts that are currently important in teaching and learning. We won't get to all of them in detail. We will get to some of them in detail later on, but I wanted to put them out there as a kind of, let's be intellectual in French here, a kind of tour d'horizon of the big issues that are out there, so that you'd have some idea of the extent of the field and what the bumps in the terrain are. And that's about 30 minutes long, which is longer than it should be really, and it's about the longest lecture that hopefully you'll get from me in the course of the year, because going forward things will be much more interactive, and what I have to say will be much less, and it will be much more of a two-way street. But it is something, after you've done your little introduction, to take a little time in the next week or two and have a look at it, but don't feel committed to knowing it all. We'll return to some of them, and if you get stuck, you can always go back and look at the PowerPoint slide and see what threshold concepts are, or what transformational learning is. So it's just an outline of the terrain. So that's basically what we're doing for the first week. We are looking at a very different type of learning to what you may have been accustomed to. And for those of you that have been out of learning for a while, you'll find that the landscape that you're coming back to is not your old-fashioned 400 people in a lecture taking notes type of experience. So a lot of what I'm put up here this week is very much to sort of make you aware of how things have changed and how we're working in a different environment, and we are building together a different learning environment. So I hope you'll find that interesting, and I look forward to seeing you in the forums, where I will be watching your contributions and jumping in there to draw things together and keep the discussion moving along. And